Hello, I'm Dave Stevens, CEO of the Mortgage Bankers Association, and I'm really happy to be here with Bill Emerson, a man who needs little introduction, the CEO of Quicken Loans and our MBA chairman for this year. It's great to have you here in town.
It's good to be here, Mr. Stevens. It's always a pleasure, young man, and I'm looking forward to whatever it is we're going to talk about.
Well, there's a lot going on, but I thought, given the timing of our National Advocacy Conference, I thought we could maybe spend a little time talking about that and
Sure.
Your experience, why it's important. So I'd love to hear your thoughts.
Well, so I think it's the one time of the year where the MBA has an opportunity to show up in force on the Hill. You think about it, we're talking about business owners here who create jobs in their hometowns, in the constituency of that place. When you come to this town as an advocate for our industry and a job creator, and you go talk to your representative or whoever that may be, that's a very powerful statement. And so the more folks that we can get to come to DC for this conference and use their voice and affect the outcome is huge for the industry, it's huge for the MBA, but it's huge for the individual who's running that business in that community.
Yeah, that's a key message. So I've been here, it's my 5th year at MBA. The conference is actually bigger, I think it's the biggest one since I've been here.
That's awesome.
But we're still out under like 400 registrants
Right.
overall.
So we have 2,200 member companies
Yeah.
and thousands of members that could be here?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, you work the DC area, your company's here all the time. Can you talk a little about the importance of like size and the kind of how members of Congress in your interactions, how they respond when we get engaged?
Yeah, listen, I think anytime, like I said, you have a conversation with a senator or a congressperson and you're from that area, it matters. But the MBA is the largest voice in this industry, and when we can pull a large number of people together, and 400 is a good number, but if you can pull 1,000 or 2,000 people together and go talk to folks on the Hill and clearly explain the issues that we are trying to convey, it's very, very powerful. And not only do the senators and the Congress people want to hear from you, but the staffers really get educated on what's happening in our industry, which ultimately helps us when we want to advocate policy processes and decisions on the Hill.
Yeah, it's funny. I sent out an email to a whole bunch of members recently saying why this year's it's important.
Mm-hmm.
Almost more than any other year, given what all of us are going
There's a lot
through.
going on.
What are the priority, like at the top of your head, policy priorities, areas of focus that you think our industry has to be strong on?
Well, so I don't know. We talk a lot about GSE reform. I don't know where that's really going to go, but I think about it this way. We are now in a lending environment that's probably the safest lending environment any of us have been in for many, many, many years. And we have to make sure that the legislators understand that the dialogue needs to change. They have to make sure that they understand that we get that regulation is a part of what we're doing now, but we've got to start being smart about what we do with that. We have to get clarity around the rules that are important to what we do so that we can lend to the edge of the credit box. We got to make sure that people understand that there are people in the communities that are being served every single day that aren't being served as a result of some of the policies that are happening. And so, when you start thinking about that, enforcement, regulation, those things are critically important. And then how do you sneak in a little bit of housing finance reform when it's kind of fallen on deaf ears? It still needs to be talked about. We have to keep hammering away at the rock on a variety of topics.
Yeah. I mean, I think what people don't recognize, because who pays attention to Washington all that much or wants to, but there's a lot of hearings happening right now. There's a lot of questions. We're responding to a letter right now from the leadership on the House side, wanting to know the impact of the know before you owe rule on the industry.
Yep.
So great timing to bring that message to Washington.
Yeah, I mean, listen, there's always, I don't know if there's ever a bad time to do it.
Yeah.
But, when you do think about the things that are happening right now, Madrid's a great example of that. How much longer will this good faith period continue? We know it needs to continue. We know there are still loans that are backed up in warehouse lines, and we have to find a way to continue to have those dialogues, and that's got to happen with the CFPB. But if we can't make progress there, clearly talking to folks on the Hill and getting them to understand what's happening can be beneficial as well, because we want to help the end consumer to be able to have the best experience with any of the regulation that's put in place.
So what would you like to see happen? I mean, of all the members out there, what's the message you deliver to them that's that we need to focus on here?
So get involved. get involved. I don't care what level of the organization you are, get involved. But probably primarily, if you are a leader inside of an organization, you're a CEO, you're a COO, you're a CAO, you're some C, get involved, get engaged, come and check this out. Because leading by example is probably the single most important thing that anyone can do when it comes to advocacy. Yes, does it matter that we're involved in MORPAC and MA and that do dollars talk? For sure they do. But nothing talks more than a leader of an organization, like I said in the beginning, who is creating jobs in a community, who is taking their time, effort, and energy to come to the Hill and interact with folks on the Hill. That matters to congresspeople, senators. They want to see CEOs. They want to see leaders of organizations who care enough to invest the time, not spend the time, invest the time to be able to have an impact on the outcome of an industry we all love.
Yeah, it's fun. It's interesting. I compared us to recently to the National Association of Hispanic Real Estate Professionals, which just had their conference here in Washington. The numbers were huge in this town.
They're very well organized. It's a good group.
Yeah, and it really has an impact. And as you know, every time when I'm up on the Hill, the thing you really emphasize is the people who come here, they're business owners. You employ people.
Absolutely.
You create jobs in the communities that Quicken operates, and everybody else does as well. That's why getting that turnout here is important.
No, it's critical. And listen, I think one of the things we can all do as members of the MBA is realize that, I know everybody's busy. And maybe making the trip here, you look at it and you check it off your spreadsheet and say doesn't really matter. Nothing could be further from the truth. And when you see other organizations that can mobilize and do a better job, frankly, than we're doing, it's not that they have better people. It's not even that they're more passionate. It's just that they know how to come together on the things that matter. And I just think that's something we got to consistently focus on as the MBA, because I can tell you, we've been in D.C. now for 5+ years. And being here on the ground matters every single day. So if we can bring people together once a year to have that impact, it does matter. Absolutely.
So I hope you guys listen to the message. It's one of the reasons why Bill is here with us today, along with a couple of the other officers and former officers of the MBA, is we have one of the senior advisors to one of the top presidential candidates here meeting with us in just a few minutes, wants to hear what we have to say about housing policy. We didn't ask for the meeting. They asked for the meeting. That's really the power of the voice, but everybody can help keep that going.
Absolutely. Yeah, I think never underestimate the power of the voice of the MBA. I think what you and the group have done in the last 5 years has been fantastic. So we just got to keep the momentum going.
All right, Bill. Well, look, that's all we have for today. Wanted to keep it simple, but you can see why we have a great leader in Bill Emerson, CEO of Quicken Loans. I want to thank you for coming here and spending a few minutes with us.
My pleasure. Glad to be here.